There's a stigma surrounding the Audi TT that I think is pretty undeserved. That's right, many of you know this is the hairdresser's car. However, this is no regular TT. This is the TTS. Now, according to Audi, the TTS is a dedicated sports car. That's quite the departure from the hairdresser's image this car supposedly gives off. Which way does it actually swing though? Sports car or imitation special? Let's have a look then. My name's Tom, and you're watching Paragon Cars. Let's go. We're on Instagram, so if you want to see our latest and greatest stock, daily updates and behind the scenes footage, click the link in the description to follow us now. Now, being the TTS, this uses the same EA113 2-litre turbo as the S3 of the time did. That means power is at a just okay 272 and torque is at 350 Nm. VAG 2-litre turbos always seem to do more than they say on the tin though. That combined with the fact this has a Haldex Quattro system and a dual clutch transmission should make this quite a potent package. Let's see how she fares on the 30 to 70 sprint. Well, would you look at that? Not bad for 272 horsepower, eh? We managed 4.33 seconds, making this 15-year-old spicy TT faster than a Mercedes A35 AMG, and not far behind a 2017 Mercedes A45 AMG. That is a lot of bang for your buck, in my opinion. Inside the TT, you'll find a space that you don't really see in any other car. You see, like many sports cars, it's in a 2+2 configuration, meaning the two front seats can be used by adults, and the rear seats are, well, yeah. However, unlike other sports cars, it has a hatchback tailgate, which means when you fold the frankly useless rear seats down, you get a genuinely large boot. So for two people, the Audi TT is actually perfect for a weekend or even longer away, especially if you like your bicycles. In terms of the interior itself, the TT is a fairly simple layout. Dash, infotainment and climate controls are all where you'd expect them to be. It is an Audi after all. The only real negative for me is the lack of centre armrest. Would have been good if they could have squeezed one of those in. Anyway, let's get on the road, as I've heard some surprisingly good things about this car. It's not slow either. Sort of launch, and we get to 60 before the corner. Right, let's see what happens. Right, starting off with some speed bumps. And believe it or not, this car actually has mag ride, which I didn't realise you could get in the older 2008 TTS. But I've got it in the firmer setting now, and going over speed bumps here, it feels like BMW M Sport firm. So like sporty but not uncomfortable. And if I turn them off, let's see if that makes any difference. It does, but it's a lot less than I thought it would. I mean, it's like 10%. Kind of seems a bit pointless, really. Also noticing a little bit of creaking, but I think that's just coming from this plastic seatbelt holder. Yeah, it is. Something you could fix pretty easily. I may as well just leave them in their firmer setting, I think. Got the spoiler up at the back, that still works. The other thing I'm noticing is it's actually quite a nice sounding engine. Like if I give it a little bit of gas here, it sounds pretty good, doesn't it? It certainly sounds better than my Cupra. My Cupra has a res delete as well, and still doesn't sound as good as this. This sounds quite throaty, which is nice. It's got a nice balance of bass, but not like boomy bass. It's just enough that it sounds pretty good actually. We've got the Pioneer head unit as well. The one thing I can already tell though is that the steering, oh god, it's not good. It's that sort of old Audi electric rack, which is just not a good rack, to be honest. You know, for a sporty car you would expect it to be like one turn lock to lock. and this is more than that, and it also just has zero feel from the front end. I think when you get faster, it might sort of bring a bit of feedback, but driving around town, it's very much just, there's weight and no feel. Nothing. In terms of parking, the TT is a, well, small car really. It's not that big at all. This has a reverse camera, I think an aftermarket one. And yeah, parking, it's pretty easy actually. If you weren't terrible at parking like me, you'd be able to get into the space a bit better than I just did. But yeah, it's a good like town sports car. There's plenty of visibility out the sides and the front. And it is very easy to drive. It is still an Audi. I mean, it's very similar to an S3 because it's on the same platform, same engine. It just feels slightly more special already. Right, half throttle out of the junction. And the Haldex Quattro system shoots you down the road. Previous owner said there's no mods done to this apart from the Pioneer head unit and these fake carbon fibre flappy paddles. I will have to double check though, because it does sound pretty good. I can't imagine it would sound this good as stock. If any of you guys own one of these cars, please let me know in the comments. Right, I am going to reset the MPG, but it's quite fiddly to do that, so I'm just going to come back to you in about 5 minutes. Okay then, gearbox into, let's go into sports for now, see how it reacts. ESC into sports as well, and that's basically as sporty as it gets. Let's see what this TTS is like. Brakes are pretty good really. I mean, I understand if you service them they should always feel the same, but they feel like brand new almost. Right, enough waffle, let's give it some. Oh, wow. Rotates quite nicely at lower speeds. Surprising. And again, it just sounds good. And this DSG, this is the older 6-speed. The newer TTS has the 7-speed DSG. But it's pretty good. Like, downshift. Upshift is good. You get a nice DSG fart as well. And it's fast actually. It feels faster than 272 horsepower. So far, I'm liking this actually. And when you push it, the steering gives you just enough feedback to where you're sort of a bit more confident with it. Just driving it normally though, there's zero feedback at all. And it's just weird. You get this like almost looseness on centre. But yeah, so far, for the money, this feels like a pretty decent, tidy package, actually. Right, let's go into drive, suspension in comfort, and ESC back on. Let's see what this thing is like on the motorway. It should do 36 mpg on the combined cycle. Nearly went through a red light then. Which is not bad. You know, for an older engine, the turbo comes in slightly later at 2,500 RPM. Where is that police car? Oh, some miles away. But yeah, turbo comes in at 2,500 RPM. The newer EA 888, the turbo in that comes in at 1,800 RPM, I believe. So it does react a lot quicker in newer thing like the newer TTS. But yeah, this feels pretty decent coming onto the motorway. It feels quick, man. It doesn't feel slow at all. And even in just drive, the DSG does a really nice job of just like chopping through gears. Actually feels a bit smoother than my Cupra for some reason. It's all software really, but it feels nice. Right, let's see what the response is like. Give it half throttle again. Downshift 1 gear. And that's 70 already. It's a very smooth car to drive. Visibility is good again because we've just basically got no B-pillar. A-pillar is like fairly average in terms of thickness. kind of see round it as well. Sound isolation, also very good, actually. Very, very good. For a small car like this, it's very quiet. And yeah, seats are comfy. You can chill out nicely. It feels like a much bigger car than it actually is on the motorway. That's where Audis are very good, actually. Right, I will join you in about 20 minutes and see what MPG we end up with. I did reset it, by the way. It's just the menus in these older Audis are very fiddly. Okay, motorway stint done. How did we do? Well, we're sitting at 32.4 at the minute, which is not that bad, really. I mean, when you consider this car's done, what, nearly 70,000 miles, which is pretty low, actually, for its age. And there'll be a bit of carbon build-up in the engine. Plus, even though this is a auto gearbox, it does only have 6 gears, and you sit at basically 3,000 RPM. When you're at 70 miles an hour, so it does mean you use a bit of fuel. So if you drive slower, say like same speed as a lorry, if you really want to save fuel, I could see you might actually get just over 40 miles per gallon out of this thing, which is pretty damn good, actually. Anyway, let's get to a B road and see what this thing is like, because going around that roundabout was actually pretty nice. Okay, I'm in manual this time. ESC is in sports. Suspension in sports, and let's get our little wing up. Bit of extra downforce. Probably provides about a kilo of downforce. Let's see what this TT is like. I really like the sound of it, you know. It has a really nice, like, almost guttural noise to it. And on upshifts, you kind of get this, like, burbly noise. And you know what? You can carry a fair bit of pace around tighter stuff. Doesn't really want to oversteer, but very few Audis do. But it has a pretty good neutrality to it. It's not doing a lot of understeering. You'll notice in the TTRS with the 5-cylinder that sort of version, like if you're going for a 2010 TTRS, that will understeer quite a bit more than this, because this is just lighter at the front end. But it feels good to drive. It does feel sporty, and the steering at that particular angle actually feels quite nice. So just like there, it feels quite nice. It tightens its line into the corner nicely. And I mean, like, gearbox giving me gears when I'm asking for it. It's a nice little package, this. It's very throaty, isn't it? Do you know what? I really like this. There's just something about the chassis that feels really nice. It's not that playful, but the chassis itself is communicating quite well. Steering not so much, but once you get higher in the rev range, it's pretty good. Let's go round again, actually. And the pickup is decent. I was expecting this to be way slower than it actually is. Okay, foot down. Bit of understeer there. But it's tidy. Surprisingly tidy. Surprisingly sharp as well for a, what, 15-year-old car. Doesn't really feel like it. Oh, that's such a nice noise. This must have a resonator delete or something. Brakes. Pretty good, pretty decent. Standard Audi, really. Not stellar, but nothing to complain about. love those DSG farts. I think on camera they sound a bit dumb, but in real life they actually sound pretty good. And if I come off the throttle, don't know if you can pick it up on the microphone, you get these lovely little burbles. They're not pops and bangs, but they're just like little overrun noises. Surprisingly nice. Its line very well, I have to say. What a cracking bit of kit! I mean, for the money, this is brilliant. Like, it's almost as fast as the newer stuff. And, you know, with a few bolt-on mods and an engine map. This is a proper weapon, actually. Lift off and see what happens. Yeah, okay, I gotcha. It's typical Audi, so if you lift off during the mid-corner, you can get it to rotate quite nicely, but that's pretty much the only way you can get it to rotate. If it's wet though, these are pretty good. You can't really slide them about, but they do become a lot more playful, and in the UK it's wet a lot of the time. Unfortunately it's not today, I actually kind of want it to be raining. But it just gets more fun. That's where Audis are very good. Right, let's take it to a tighter B road and see how it does there. So far though, this is surprisingly good. Like, genuinely. Okay, this is where little hot hatches do quite well. And so does this TTS. Turning is pretty sharp. Not a lot of feedback from the steering again, but you know what the car's doing. And the suspension's pretty firm, yeah. And it's quick. This is the thing with these VAG engines. I don't know, they make the power, but they're always quicker than you expect them to be. Oh, nice. Right, sort of launch. Look at that. I mean, it doesn't feel much slower than an A45. One thing I really can't get over is just how good it sounds. Usually 2-litre Audis don't sound particularly good. This is nice! Alright, let's chuck the suspension in its softer setting, see how it handles then. But in its firm setting, it's actually pretty well calibrated for UK roads. Nothing to complain about. Controls the car well. It's just that steering at lower speeds is so weird. I don't know what it is. As soon as you get to like above 40 miles an hour, it seems to kind of feel alright, but below 40 it just feels really odd. Not that there's something wrong with it, it's just strange. Right, one last time. Cool. It's that first and second gear are pretty brutal. And it's pretty old school turbo feel as well. If anything, the softer setting might actually be better. Bit of traffic, so I can't really go that fast in it. As soon as you're above 3,000, it responds well though. The newer EA888 just feels like a faster responding, slightly more oomphy version of this. But the sound of this is definitely better. Wow, what a cracking bit of kit. Honestly, I am taken away by how good this thing is. Like, seriously, the handling, the way it drives, suspension is good, everything still works. Like, for the money, you can pick up a pretty ropey one of these for like 7.5 grand these days. For a nice one, you're looking at like 10 to 12. which, yeah, is really decent when you think about it. Stage 1 map, you know, air intake, a couple of other bolt-ons maybe, and you've got a serious bit of kit, like a really serious bit of kit. You know, one of these making 370 horsepower would be pretty mega. Right, time for a conclusion, I think. So, the big question, is this a proper sports car? Well, no. Sorry, it's just not. But don't worry, because you know what this actually is? It's a hot hatch. It's a more communicative, slightly sharper Audi S3. And that makes it, well, actually pretty damn good, and a genuinely fun car to drive. It just feels a little bit more special than the equivalent Audi S3, which in my books makes it well worth looking at. And one thing's for sure, this is certainly no hairdresser's car. Unless you're a hairdresser that likes cars and hot hatches, of course. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this review. If you did, give it a like, and why not subscribe? Because not only can you see more content like this, you can also see everything we have for sale. My name's Tom, and you've been watching Paragon Cars. I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.